Hi guys, my name is Clever PC. I'm just back again with another video. Guys, today let's discuss what makes most candidates fail to get their required band score. There are quite a number of, mistakes which these candidates make in the real exam, and today we're just gonna discuss them, guys. Let's get started. Let's first get started with speaking, then we shall go to writing, then listening, and finally reading. We're just gonna handpick them, but in the consequent videos we shall just talk about the exact mistakes and how to even solve them. So guys, without further ado, guys, let's just get started. So guys, first off, with part one of speaking, some candidates treat part one of speaking like as if it's a presentation, and yet you're just supposed to be chatty, make it seem like a dialogue. And one advice I will give you on this is that make sure that you've come with your answers on the most common questions that they do ask. For instance, where do you live? Such things, guys. So guys, moving on to part two, you're supposed to speak for the whole 2 minutes. If you speak less than 2 minutes, you'll be marked down, guys. Make sure you speak for the whole 2 minutes. Even if you feel that what you say is out of your mind, just get off topic, but it's very important that you first stay on topic. Always first stay on topic. That's another tip. Don't first begin by getting off topic. No, first stay on topic, and then you finally get off topic when you have nothing to say until the examiner stops you. Don't allow the examiner to do like this. No, just speak until the whole 2 minutes and express your whole English. Guys, finally, when it comes to part three, make sure that you don't over repeat the starting words like well, then you again say well. For instance, if you say that's an interesting question, every question they ask you, you keep saying it's an interesting question. No, keep switching those words. You can say, frankly speaking, honestly. If you ask me, just keep on switching words like this. And the other thing is that please do not allow the examiner keep asking you why. Make sure you extend those answers with answers like why, when, how often, things like that. What other people think, what you think about the topic. Guys, another mistake that candidates need to avoid is to give those weird pauses. For instance, you run out of what to say and then you just stop abruptly. No, try to use some fillers. Like if you ask me, and we shall just get into details so that by the end of these videos you will have improved your English and how to get a higher band score in English. Remember guys, this doesn't mean that you don't know English. No, you just don't know how to answer questions when it comes to the Ielts test. But this doesn't mean that you don't know English. No, we know you know English, but you don't know how to answer according to what examiners want. So guys, the final mistake that people need to avoid is to avoid complicated words. You can find someone even doesn't know how to pronounce a word like repercussions, and then they say repercussions. They are trying to use complicated words. That simply just puts your score down. Just say result, that's all, and then you move on. Don't try to reminisce on words and get hardened on pronunciation. No. So colleagues, moving on to writing. When it comes to writing, some candidates do not plan. They immediately just start writing, and then through the course of the exam, they remember that they would have put something in the introduction, and then the whole thing becomes messy. And yet, if they had planned, they will have, saved some out of time, and their work is neat. Guys, and this is the mistake which I made in my first paper of Ielts. I didn't plan, I just began writing thinking that I'm saving myself time, that time given in Ielts is never enough, and I ended up missing out on some points. So guys, always plan. So guys, another mistake when it comes to writing is people attempting the question paper with the task 1 instead of starting with task 2. Remember, task 1 contributes only a third to your paper, and yet task 2 will give you 2/3 of your paper. So if you begin with task 1 and then you later on end with task 2, then you're doing yourself a disservice. So it's much better to begin when you still have these 60 minutes to start with what? With task 2, so that by the time you're panicking, the minutes are ending, you're left with 5 or even 10 minutes, you're just on the section which will just give you a third of the paper. So guys, speaking of which, there are some mistakes people make when in task 2. Candidates try to use memorized templates, like something is the hotly debated topic. They try to create a formula of how they're going to answer the question. No, this is a big no. You should always be natural and keep flowing with a range of vocabulary, so that you can boost that lexical resource. Task 1, on the other hand, the most common mistake is trying to describe each and everything instead of comparing and giving them the major similarities or differences or comparisons. No, it's very important that you don't describe everything. First of all, you're wasting time, and the other thing is that you're not following what the examiner wants, and task achievement, answering the question. Anyway guys, moving on to listening. The number one mistake people make is that they try to be rigid on words and they concentrate on writing more than listening. What I mean by this is that people try to reminisce on what they've missed. Maybe they've missed out on the digits that are being said, and then they keep remembering the mistake which they've made, and yet they have other marks ahead of them. So it's very important that you just move on, on what you've missed, and then you know that there's a brighter future. My strategy is that I always make sure that I attempt the last part so well that I get 10 out of 10 in that part, because that's the part where there are a lot of marks allocated to it. And if you dare try to mess up, or you're still remembering your mistake maybe in section 2 or 3, you'll just end up missing out on such free marks. So guys, another mistake candidates make is losing concentration. Most people can't concentrate for the whole 40 minutes, and this is caused by lack of enough practice. If you keep maybe attempting just only one listening test per week, you're not actually improving your endurance. I can compare this to running. For instance, if you have a race and you have to run for 21 kilometers and you keep practicing maybe like 21 kilometers in 3 months, you're not actually amping up that physical endurance. Same as this, you're not actually improving your concentration in your brain. So what you have to do is to simply increase on the number of tests that you attempt on a daily basis. If today you attempt 2, make sure that tomorrow you attempt 3, and don't give breaks in the middle. Try to exhaust your brain when you are still practicing, so that by on exam day everything is very easy, you're still focused. You get what I mean? So guys, last but not least, let's move on to reading. I'm always excited when it comes to reading, because reading is really my favorite, and I'm about to release a video on how you can improve on your reading and finish it in less time. Personally, I finished my reading in 40 minutes and I got an 8.5. So I really want you guys to do the same, or even better. You can even finish it in 35 minutes, or even 30 minutes. So guys, the number one mistake you guys do when it comes to reading is not planning. Yes, you have to plan first. For instance, if the paper is starting at 11, make sure that the first passage you are done by 15 minutes right into the paper. So meaning that passage 1 will take 15 minutes, passage 2 20 minutes, and then the final passage that you will attempt will take you 25 minutes, and that will be the hardest passage. It might either be passage 3 or passage 2. So the mistake people do is that they never plan. They simply just start attempting the test. And speaking of which, another mistake is that people just simply attempt the exam in order. No, do not attempt the exam in order. There are some questions which you need to start first and then the others last. So by this I mean that questions like matching headings, matching paragraphs, those are the questions which you need to attempt last after perusing and answering questions like true, false, not given, matching names. So this just helps you know to over repeat what you have already read, and thereby you're saving yourself time. I'll explain everything in my video in details so that people can really get what I mean. Anyway guys, the final mistake which candidates make on reading is that they keep rereading the passage, they keep turning back and forth pages, they're just getting confused. I don't know if they just get like a brain fog, and I really do understand, because this is what happened to me when I had just started. I was just getting these brain fogs. It was like as if I was trapped in a maze. And what I noticed is that the mistake people were making was that they are wasting a lot of time on the questions which were hard. If you're not getting something, just mark it and then you move on. So the mistake that they were making is that they were leaving simple questions on the table. And an example I can give you is that I remember in my first paper, passage 3 was much simpler than passage 2. So people who had attempted passage 2 first, they would struggle at the end after finding out that passage 3 was actually much easier. So if you're starting to read passage 2 and you're finding the words very complicated, like that high English, just leave it and then you move on to what? To the easier passage. Of course, you have to really adjust your time. That means you'll exchange those minutes, the 20 minutes which you would have used on passage 2 to passage 3, and then the 25 minutes you will use them what? On the hardest passage, which is passage 3. So guys, that's all I must say. Those are the mistakes which most candidates make, and if you work upon them, I'm sure your Ielts band score will definitely go up. So guys, that's all. Don't forget to subscribe guys, so that more and more people can watch this video. And guys, yeah, peace, take care.